Daniel and his 3 friends. The king's meal and the fiery furnace. A long, long time ago, in a land called Judah, there lived 4 boys who loved God with all their hearts. Their names were Daniel, later called Belteshazzar; Hananiah, later called Shadrach; Mishael, later called Meshach; Azariah, later called Abednego. They grew up learning about the one true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They prayed to him every day, they obeyed his laws, and they trusted him with all their hearts. But one sad day, a powerful king named Nebuchadnezzar came with his army from a faraway land called Babylon. His soldiers surrounded Judah, broke down its walls, and carried many people away as captives. Daniel and his 3 friends were among those taken. The journey was long and hard. They walked for many days until they reached Babylon. Babylon was unlike anything they had ever seen. The city had tall walls, golden statues, and palaces that shone like the sunday. But it was also filled with idols, statues of false gods that the people worshipped. King Nebuchadnezzar gave an order to his chief official Ashpenaz. "Choose the best and brightest of these captives. Could you bring them to my palace? Train them in our language and our customs. Feed them with food from my royal kitchen. Then they will serve me as wise men in my court." Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were chosen. They were taken into the king's palace, given new clothes and even new names. Daniel became Belteshazzar, Hananiah became Shadrach, Mishael became Meshach, Azariah became Abednego. The king wanted them to forget about the God of Israel and to live like Babylonians. But deep in their hearts, they knew they would never forget the one true God. One day, the chief official brought plates of food from the king's kitchen. The tables were filled with roasted meats, fancy breads, sweet cakes, and cups of wine. It looked delicious, but Daniel knew the truth. This food had been offered to idols and did not follow God's laws. Daniel whispered to his friends, "We cannot eat this food. It will make us unclean before our God." Shadrach nodded. "But if we refuse, what will happen?" Meshach added, "The king may be angry." Abednego sighed. "We must choose. Do we obey the king, or do we obey God?" They looked at each other, and all 4 boys agreed. "We will honor God." Daniel went to the chief official and said politely, "Sir, we cannot eat the king's food. Please, give us only vegetables to eat and water to drink." The official gasped, "But if you look weak, the king will blame me. He may punish me." Daniel replied with courage, "Test us for just 10 days. Give us vegetables and water, and give the others the king's food. After 10 days, compare us. If we look weak, you may do as you wish." The official agreed. For 10 days, Daniel and his friends ate only vegetables and drank only water. The other young men feasted on the king's meat and wine. At the end of 10 days, something amazing happened. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego looked healthier, stronger, and brighter than everyone else. Their eyes shone, their faces glowed, and their minds were sharp. From that day forward, they were allowed to eat vegetables and drink water, and God blessed them with wisdom and knowledge. When King Nebuchadnezzar tested them, he found them 10 times wiser than all the wise men in his kingdom. God had honored their obedience. Years later, King Nebuchadnezzar had a new idea. He built a huge golden statue that stood tall in the plain of Dura. It was almost as tall as a modern building. The king made a command. "When the music plays, when you hear the trumpets, harps, and horns, everyone must bow down and worship my golden statue. Whoever refuses will be thrown into a blazing fiery furnace." The day came. Musicians lifted their instruments. Trumpets blared, harps strummed, drums boomed. All the people bowed down to the golden statue. But 3 young men stood tall, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They did not bend their knees. They did not bow their heads. They remembered God's command, "You shall have no other gods before me." Some men ran to the king and shouted, "O king, there are 3 Jews who refuse to bow: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They do not worship your gods or your statue." King Nebuchadnezzar was furious. The king called the 3 young men. "Is it true you will not bow to my statue? I will give you one more chance. When the music plays, bow down. If not, you will be thrown into the fiery furnace. What God can save you from my hand?" The three boys stood tall and answered with courage, "O king, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. Our God can save us from the fiery furnace. But even if he does not, we will never serve your gods or bow to your statue." The king's face turned red with anger. "Heat the furnace 7 times hotter than usual," he roared. Soldiers tied up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego with ropes and threw them into the blazing furnace. The fire was so hot that the soldiers who threw them in died from the heat. But then something incredible happened. Part 6. The fourth man, King Nebuchadnezzar, jumped to his feet. "Did we not throw 3 men into the fire?" he shouted. "Yes, O king," his servants replied. "Look!" the king cried. "I see 4 men walking in the fire, unbound, unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of God." Inside the furnace, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were not burned. Their ropes had fallen off, and they were walking freely. The fire did not touch them. Their hair did not burn. Their clothes did not smell like smoke. And with them was a 4th man, an angel of the Lord, or perhaps even Jesus himself, standing in the fire with them. The king shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out!" The 3 young men stepped out of the furnace. Everyone gathered around them. They saw that the fire had not harmed them at all. The king fell on his knees and declared, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No other God can save in this way." He made a new law. No one must ever speak against the God of Israel. And he promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to high positions in the Babylonian Empire. Part 7. Lessons for Children and Adults. This story teaches us, be faithful in small things. The boys first obeyed God with food. They said no to the king's meat and wine. Because they were faithful in small choices, God gave them strength for bigger ones. Be brave in big things. When faced with the fiery furnace, they chose God over safety. They knew God could save them, but even if he didn't, they would still obey him. God is with us in hard times. Just like the 4th man in the fire, God is with us when life feels scary, hot, or painful. We are never alone. Obedience brings blessing. Because they honored God, they were lifted and remembered for generations. Lessons for you. Imagine you are at the park or somewhere else, and someone is making fun of another person or doing something wrong. Will you join them, or will you stand for what is right? Imagine you are at a party, and everyone is eating something you know is wrong for you. Will you join them, or will you honor God? Sometimes it's not easy to stand out, but remember Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were young, just like you, yet they stood firm. And God stood by them. You can be courageous like them. You can shine brightly for God. You can trust him to take care of you. If you like this and want some more content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow us on all our social handles. We also have lovely books on Amazon written by Miracle Aruke. LS find links to all our books below or in our bio. God bless you.